Hi everyone, my name is Naji Kirby and I'm with Safe Kids Worldwide, and today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite books, Clifford and the Railroad Crossing. Are you ready to go? Hi, I'm Emily Elizabeth and this is Clifford. He's my dog. Today, my softball team is going to our first away game. It's in the town called New Harbor. I've never gone to an away game before. I'm so excited. We have to take the bus to New Harbor because of all of our equipment, so Coach Lopez and his wife, Mrs. Lopez, are driving us. Clifford is walking beside the bus on the sidewalk. It's a good thing the town isn't too far away. On the bus, we sing songs. Clifford sings along too. Mrs. Lopez comes to sit down near my friend Willow and me. I notice something fall out of her pocket. "I think you dropped this, Mrs. Lopez," I say, handing her the plastic card that fell on the floor. "Oh my, thank you, Emily Elizabeth," Mrs. Lopez says. "I'd be in trouble if I lost this. It's my ID card for my job. I'm a train conductor for a freight railroad." "I love trains," Willow cries. "When I grow up, I want to work on the railroad." "That's wonderful, Willow," Mrs. Lopez says with a smile. "What's a freight train?" asks my friend Nate. All of us are listening now. Even Clifford's ears perk up. "It's a train that carries supplies from place to place," Mrs. Lopez answers. "Freight trains carry tons of different things," Willow says, "like food, cars, clothes, even softball bats." Mrs. Lopez smiles. "That's exactly right. In fact, there's a freight train that comes right through New Harbor. If you look out the window, you can see the tracks. There they are. But we'd better hurry up. It's 3:35 p.m. and our game starts at 4. We don't see a train on the tracks, but as we approach the railroad crossing, the gates start to slowly come down. "I bet if we go really fast, we could make it across before the gate closes," Jessie calls out. "It might seem that way, Jessie, but it's very important to know and understand all the train safety rules, like obeying red lights and watching the gates before you make any decisions that could be dangerous," Mrs. Lopez tells us. "Did you know it can take a train over a mile to come to a complete stop?" "Whoa," says Willow. "Once you've seen a train coming, it's already too late for the train to stop before it reaches you," Mrs. Lopez says. "Trains are much closer and faster than we think. You should never try to beat a train across the tracks." "I didn't know any of that," I say, and Jessie nods. Clifford just snorts next to us, but I know that means he learned something new too. The gate closes and we soon hear the freight train coming. It's big. But after a few minutes, the train has passed. The red flashing lights stop and the gates lift again. Coach Lopez looks both ways and then drives the bus across the tracks safely. Clifford looks both ways too. That's when Nate asks, "Do you think that freight train could be carrying water?" I'm not sure," Mrs. Lopez says with a chuckle. "Why do you ask?" "Because we forgot our cooler of water back at school." Soon, the bus stops by a local grocery store. "Okay," Mrs. Lopez calls out, "who would like to come into the store with me to buy some more water?" The rest of the team will head over to the field and we'll meet them there. My hand shoots up into the air right away. I'll get to spend some time outside with Clifford. Willow and Jessie volunteer to come with us too. Coach Lopez lets us off the bus and we wave goodbye to the rest of the team. With a cooler full of water, we set off to find the playing field. "Jessie, why don't you help us navigate?" Mrs. Lopez says, handing him her phone. "I've opened up the map and entered the address already." We head in the direction of the field. After a few minutes, we see another set of train tracks. "Are these tracks for another freight train?" I ask. "They sure are," Mrs. Lopez replies. "What does the map say we should do, Jessie?" "It says we should go straight and then cross over the tracks in 2 blocks. But I think if we just walk alongside the tracks, we can get to the field faster." "Walking alongside train tracks is very dangerous," Mrs. Lopez warns. "It's never allowed. Faster isn't always better, especially when it comes to train safety. But I'm afraid we're going to be late for the game. Can we at least cross over the tracks here, I ask? There's nothing coming. Clifford takes a step toward the tracks, but Mrs. Lopez stops him. Be careful, Clifford, Mrs. Lopez says kindly. It's not okay to cross train tracks anywhere other than designated railroad crossings, she explains. I know you're all worried about getting to the game on time, and following these rules is making the trip take longer. But the rules are in place for a very important reason: your safety. Thanks for keeping us safe, Mrs. Lopez, Willow says. Clifford thanks her too. We head quickly down the sidewalk until we come to a proper railroad crossing. We're almost there, Jessie, Willow, and I yell. Jessie, could you hand me back my phone so I can put it away? Mrs. Lopez says. It's important to always be alert while you are crossing train tracks and not be looking at phones or listening to music. Oh, and we need to wait for the flashing lights to stop and the gate to open fully before crossing, I add. Very good, Mrs. Lopez says. And what's one more thing we have to do before we can cross? Clifford lets out an excited yelp and turns his head from one side to the other. That's right, Clifford, Mrs. Lopez says. We look both ways before we cross. Let's go. We get across safely and soon arrive at the playing field. The rest of the team cheers when they see us. We're there just in time to begin the game. Clifford starts offering water to the team while I step up to the plate. The pitcher throws the ball, and just as I'm about to hit it, whack! Something big and red sails through the air and sends the ball flying. It's Clifford's tail. He hit the ball by accident when he wagged it. Everyone looks at Coach Lopez wondering what to do next. He laughs and says, "What are you waiting for, Clifford? Run!" The crowd bursts into cheers for Clifford. Even the New Harbor team joins in. Run, Clifford, run! And he does. It's a home run, just like the whole day has been. The end. Thank you so much for letting me share this book with you today. And remember, trains are big, trains are fast, and trains are quiet. Have a great day. Be safe.